Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Good morning. We got a special guest on the line right now. He is the governor of New Jersey, Governor Murphy. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, folks. I'm really thrilled to be on with you all. My kids are very jealous, by the way, that I'm with you, and they're not. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, we have
Governor Murphy. How you holding up, man? How are you doing during this quarantine?
Listen, I'm holding up fine, but we're in a world of hurt right now. We lost 232 blessed souls yesterday. That was our biggest day of fatality in this crisis. On Saturday, a couple of days ago, we passed through the amount of folks we lost on 9/11, and we were the second highest fatality state at 9/11. So this is tough stuff. The next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be tough, and we need folks to continue to stay at home. That's the one big plea I have: stay at home and stay away from other people.
Now, people talk about shutting the city down or shutting the state down. Will that ever happen? Can that possibly flatten the curve a lot faster?
I mean, we're pretty shut. I mean, by any measure, we're as shut as any American state. I closed the state and county parks yesterday, and that's on top of a whole other list of stuff we've done. We've got essential workers only in the economy. We're going to put out more guidelines today for essential retail, like supermarkets and pharmacies. We've told people don't travel. We're enforcing it like heck up and down the state with law enforcement. Literally, if you host a gathering, we're going to come and break it up. We're about as shut down as you can get. And I just need, particularly guys, you got Passover tonight, Easter on Sunday. We got Ramadan coming down the highway, not too far. We got to get folks to make sure they are staying home and staying away from each other for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I saw you announce the statewide stay-at-home order, but what if people violate that? Like, what are the consequences for people not staying at home?
Yeah, so I mean, if you're out going to the supermarket, do that responsibly. Make sure when you're there, you're staying away from people, etc. But if you're, there was a house party locally here over the weekend, and folks have been charged. I mean, it's serious penalties, up to $10,000, up to 1.5 years in jail. Mayor Ras Baraka, who's one of the extraordinary leaders in our state, a guy you guys know, has been very aggressive in Newark. We have to be. We have no choice. And it's not because we're trying to be jerks. The alternative is this thing would be a runaway freight train. We've flattened a lot of the curve. We just got to keep at it and flatten it even further.
Now, Governor Murphy, I have a question about finances also, just because I see what different things are happening state by state, and people have asked me a lot of questions about paying their rent. I want to talk about what's going on with homeowners and mortgages. And then in New Jersey, if you have to make a decision between putting food on the table and paying your rent, but you're facing some economic hardships right now, what are your suggestions for those people?
Well, on the last one, put food on the table. There's just no two ways about it. And let me go back to where you started as well, Angela. The mortgage, we got virtually every mortgage banker in the country and in our state to give folks a 3-month holiday. Most landlords have a mortgage, so we've said to landlords, if you're getting a holiday on one side, you got to be symmetric and deliver it on the other side to folks who are renting from you. I signed a law, you can't foreclose in a home. You can't evict somebody. We have, in the sternest possible ways, said to folks, landlords who may not have a mortgage, you can't throw somebody out for not paying their rent right now. That's more complicated because it's thousands, if not millions, of contracts between two parties. But we basically said, give people a break, for crying out loud. They need it. We got a world of hurt in terms of folks who are unemployed, like most American states. We need folks to have a little bit of breathing room right now, and we've been probably as aggressive as any state on that front.
Now, there was a rumor that starting Friday that a lot of the essential businesses were going to be shut down, construction workers and things like that. Is there any truth to that?
We're going to tweak the construction reality most likely today. So I mentioned we're going to come out with a much more explicit directive on supermarkets and pharmacies, essential retail, supply and warehouse realities in terms of what we expect and what we want to mandate in terms of social distancing. And we're going to almost certainly tweak the definition of what essential construction is right now, because we got to make sure we're doing everything to keep people away from each other.
Hey, Governor, I want you to talk about two things. I saw that New Jersey launched the job portal to connect out-of-work residents to opportunities in critical industries. And to Angela Yee's point, the New Jersey Human Services announced $70 million in food assistance for vulnerable families in New Jersey. So you can talk about those two things?
Yep. Yeah, you betcha. So first of all, there's one website, if I can be shameless and promote it, folks, covid19.nj.gov. covid19.nj.gov. It's all encompassing. So it's a website you go to if you've lost your job, if you want to find a job. We've got 40 to 50,000, to your point, Charlamagne, you got 40 to 50,000 jobs available right now in essential industries. That's where you can find those jobs. It's a place you go to find a testing site, to check your symptoms, ask a scientist. So it's all encompassing. Secondly, food stamps, SNAP benefits. We've been from day one trying to get out ahead of the entire American class on making sure that we're there for folks who are the most vulnerable. Not surprisingly, even in peacetime, you got folks who are constantly left behind, particularly over the past several years. And then never mind that, you get into a crisis like this and you get that exponentially. New York Times today, rightfully pointing out communities of color are far more disproportionately in the early data analysis impacted by COVID-19. That looks like it may be true in New Jersey as well. So we got to bring everybody along. The most vulnerable among us, our prison population, the homeless, folks in developmental disability homes, our long-term care patients in nursing homes. It won't be enough if we just bring some of us or most of us along. We got to bring everybody along with us.
Absolutely. And you also have y'all announced the mortgage payment relief as well.
Yep. So 3 months window, a breathing room. And by the way, we expect, and it's up to you and your mortgage banker, we expect you don't have a big balloon payment at the end of 3 months, but that they added the 3 months at the back end of your mortgage, which is the right way to do that, the reasonable way to do that. We're doing everything we can, but we're not perfect, right? We started meeting on this in January. So we've been trying to stay out ahead of this, but it is hard, man. This thing is hard.
Now, how are the hospitals with PPE and ventilators? I know that at one time we were very desperately in need of them, but since it's slowing down a little bit, are we still in desperate need? Are we getting the supplies that we need?
Listen, DJ, I wish we were in the end zone. We're not. Well, we're still getting supplies. You know, I have the strategic stockpile. The Trump administration has sent us a series of ventilators, and we've needed every one of them, but we're going to need more. I mean, we're still well short. PPE, we've gotten some out of the federal stockpile. We're trying to source. Literally, I was just back and forth with somebody from Taiwan. We're going around the world trying to find it. We're building out bed capacity. I'm going to tour an Army, a field medical station built by the Army Corps, which I want to thank them and FEMA. We need healthcare workers. Our heroes need relief out of the bullpen, so we've got a call to arms for volunteers. We're trying to stay out ahead of all those, but we're not where we need to be yet.
Is Donald Trump helping? Is he giving us the necessary supplies and necessary money that we need? Is he being cooperative?
Listen, I have to say we have found common ground wherever we can. We've gotten a number of installments of ventilators and personal protective equipment. The Army Corps has been incredibly good. FEMA has been very, very good. So I have to be grateful and thankful for all of that. We just need more. We just don't have what we need. And we're working on getting that, but it's a struggle every single minute of every day.
If he wasn't doing a good job, isn't it hard to critique him because then he's so petty that he may hold off, funding or relief for you?
Listen, I know people talk about that. I will say this in my own case: I don't pull any punches. If I need to say something that may be critical, I will say it, and I'm sure he won't pull any punches as well. But I have to say, my responsibility is the safety of all 9 million of us in this state. And we only got one federal administration right now. I can't wake up in the morning wishing for President X or Y. This is the administration, and we do everything we can to find common ground. and get as much resources as we can. Again, we still need more. Let there be no doubt about it.
Now,
Let's
state
talk
and
about that
county,
for a second.
I was just going to ask one question. State and county parks are closed in New Jersey now. And I've been hearing contradicting things, like people will say, go outside, take a walk, get some fresh air. But then we're also hearing stay at home, don't leave the house unless you have to go to the supermarket or go to the hospital. So what's your take on that? Because I have heard people say it's okay to get a little fresh air, to go outside and take a walk.
Yep. So it's a very good question. So we closed the state and county parks yesterday because we had too much anecdotal evidence that folks were gathering in clusters in those parks. And if you only close the state park, they'll go to the county park. And if you only close the county park, they'll go to the state park. So unfortunately, we had to close both. Secondly, it's okay to go outside, but you got to social distance. So this 6-foot rule should apply to everybody, no matter where you are. Even in your house, in your front yard, on the street, if you go for a jog in your neighborhood, if you go to the supermarket or a pharmacy, regardless of where you are, please God, don't go near other people. And when in doubt, stay home. In other words, it's one thing to go for a jog for 30 minutes and come back if you're by yourself and be safe, obviously. Stay away from anybody else, but that should be the exception. We need folks to stay home.
Now, county courts, when are the county courts opening back up? A lot of people are scared maybe they have warrants or they have court dates and they want to make sure that they don't miss these dates. When are the court systems opening back up?
I don't have a date for you, but I would just say this to folks, and I don't want to be, I'm not going to play lawyer here or attorney general, but folks should realize we'll do everything we can, recognizing this is a once in a century crisis. We gotta be with each other to get through this, and that means overwhelmingly stay home, and we'll worry about cleaning this up afterward.
Governor Murphy, this is my final question. I heard you say earlier, you were talking about this is the administration that we have right now. So, basically we just have to make the best of it. But the presidential election is in November. And we saw what happened in Wisconsin yesterday, where they still made people go out there and vote, even though we're in the midst of a crisis. They're already talking about a second wave of coronavirus coming back in the fall. They're not going to push the presidential election back. Don't you think voting is essential?
No question. So listen, we can't have what happened. We have to do two things, and I know these sound like they're at odds with each other. We have to keep the machine going forward, and most importantly, to your very good question, democracy and our sacred right to vote and access that's fair for everybody. And on the one hand, and on the other hand, we have to break the back of this virus, period. So what we did, we took elections that were scheduled in March and April, we moved them to May, and they're all vote by mail. Secondly, we've got a primary coming up for the presidential and other offices in June. I'm going to make an announcement about that today. Thirdly, whether it's voting in Wisconsin yesterday or going to the supermarket or going out for a walk in your neighborhood, please, God, we have to have leadership that says you got to stay away from each other. So I believe we can get that balance right. But we got to make sure we're going down both tracks, not just one, and we got to make sure we're safe while we're doing it.
All right, so I just want to just clear some things up for all my New Jersey heads. If you can't pay mortgage and you're having a struggle right now, you spoke to the banks, majority of them, and they're doing a 3-month deferment.
Correct, and that's something folks should talk to their mortgage banker. But if they've got a banker that's trying to screw them for one reason or another, they should go on that website, covid19.nj.gov, and there's a page in there where they can say, you know what, I'm not being treated fairly, and someone will follow up.
Now, what about for car? A lot of people have cars, they finance cars or lease cars, and they can't afford that. Is there a program for that as well?
I'm not sure. We've got a specific program on car lease payments, but I would go on the website and just say, listen, I'm having trouble staying above water. And someone will get out to you. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Governor. And last thing, if people want to donate and they want to help out and maybe donate, is there an organization or a place where they can put their money to help with food or with PPE, or is there anything where people can help if they can?
You're the best to ask, folks, and I'm honored to be with you again. I want to conclude with that. Go on the same website, and then there's a page, PPE donations, so /covid19.nj.gov/PPE donations. There's also, and I I can't pitch for this, but I can acknowledge it. There's a New Jersey Pandemic Relief Fund out there that was started a couple of weeks ago with great fanfare with the likes of Bruce Springsteen, Whoopi Goldberg, John Bon Jovi, and others. And it's njprf.org, njprf.org. And that's another great place. That's literally largely for cash donations. Again, it's non-governmental, but it's doing great work.
All right. Well, thank you, Governor
Thank you.
Murphy of New Jersey. We appreciate you for checking in.
Thank you so much for having me, everybody.